the returning member. And Immortals, while their overall game win percentage is super close to 50% and their match record is still 6-8, on any given day, you have no idea what you're getting. Sometimes they look absolutely miserable, and then other times they beat FlyQuest by 23,000 gold.
Yeah.
And you're wondering really which Immortals is going to show up. And we even talk about the improvement Cody Sun and Olleh have had and how they've improved in week 6 and 7. They're 1-3 in week 6 and 7. So they're a really hard team to peg down as far as what to expect.
I know, and some of that 1-3 is the fact that they were one shot call away from 2-0ing TSM. Like, they were inches away from actually closing out against the #1 team in the league, and you wonder what it's going to be, but you saw the graphic at the beginning of the day. Immortals have the second hardest remaining run left of NA teams, and they're in 7th right now, which means they're outside the playoffs. They're not expected to make it in, yet if they play up to their maximum level, they can.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough race, and it starts with this game. One thing we were talking about kind of as just a caster group before the game is how good Lulu is right now, and how we were actually expecting it to either be permabanned or first picked almost whenever necessary. I specifically like the Lulu, Orianna, Caitlyn compositions when you can get all 3 of those champions, because you then immediately have a winning mid lane, a winning bot lane, and good late game insurance because of Caitlyn plus double shielding champions, and Lulu is really what that hinges on. So not banned by Immortals, early picked by Cloud9.
And I think that Lulu is definitely the best support in the game. I personally think she's better than Malzahar. Teams do not think so, and that's fine. They're banning that champion out very frequently. But Lulu definitely incredibly strong. And to me, I'm waiting for it to make Kog'Maw show back up a bit more. We see that champion occasionally. I think he's bonkers, but right now we don't see it very often. Either way, the Lulu, of course, has been grabbed. No surprise here. And the Caitlyn grabbed away, as you're talking about, Jatt, with the Gragas actually is an early pickup here for our top jungle flex.
Yeah, that's the thing. Gragas is one of those picks that is actually very rare this year, but used to be more common in past years as a flex pick that can go into multiple roles. That can be a Flame or a Dardoch champion. Dardoch's Gragas has historically been pretty good, but also rather inconsistent, and the Caitlyn is a good denial pick, actually, to prevent the Orianna, Lulu, Caitlyn compositions we just talked about.
There it is. Kog'Maw comes through compositionally. I already feel like C9 are favorite. I think these champions are bonkers together. Jensen may choose an Orianna or another supportive mid. We don't know, of course. Plenty of time to go. But I think this is the best bot lane in League of Legends.
Yeah, this could also be the return of Juggernaut, depending on how C9 decide to throw it. Origin did actually just play Lulu and Kog'Maw over on the European LCS stream. It wasn't effective, but that isn't necessarily the champion's fault, as Origin wins a very low percentage of their games, but I'm happy to see it here.
And Lee Sin going to come alongside it, actually. So Lee Sin and Gragas, the 2 junglers, pick up. Of course, Rengar and Graves being banned says that these might be the most premier junglers left over, according to these 2 teams anyway. Cloud9 round out their first pick phase, and wait to see who is top and mid at the end of it.
Yeah, and it's currently jungle bot laner picked by both teams, and the question will be, does Immortal match supports to prevent a bunch of things from being banned out? They do. I think the Karma is a good choice in this situation because the Caitlyn Karma can really shove in the Kog'Maw early on.
Absolutely. Lulu is mediocre only at setting up last hits under turret. Theoretically, you can make Kog'Maw lose some last hits down there. We'll see that ends up playing out in this laning phase, since, again, we expect Caitlyn and Karma to shove. Second bot lane begins. Sorry, second ban phase begins. I misspeak. And Maokai an early ban makes me think they're looking for an early Nautilus grab.
Yeah.
Although I'm wondering if they're going to have enough divers to kill off a Kog'Maw. You don't want to just run a tank line against Kog and hope you can out-tank that. That won't happen, really.
It's true. Or they can just hope they can win in the early game with multiple shoving lanes. The other potential that Immortals has is that they would theoretically already have a top laner if they want it in the Gragas because of the flex pick ability right there. And yeah, just kind of a smattering of bans going in with the Vladimir there by Immortals.
Interesting. Not sure. I don't know Vlad's matchups very well, so I'm not sure if this is like a specifically good blue side pick because it's safe and to counter pick mid laners, if that's just because a lot of times red side loves to last pick mid, right? And get the counter pick there because you can guarantee the last pick there. And if Vlad's the safe blind pick, that might be the reason why it's the ban. I just don't really know. Of course, we are on 7.5, so the stock in Rise and LeBlanc has gone down heavily. Fiora actually the final ban out here up against Flame. Nautilus crucially still available.
And a lot of times when you have a lot of bans or matched roles already, that last ban in phase 2 can be a bit of a throwaway. We've seen a lot of missed bans even in the NALCS, so I like the Fiora just because it's a champion that Flame had success on previously. But as you mentioned, with the Maokai ban that Immortals had already done, it was somewhat telegraphing the Nautilus as the top lane.
So now the question is, what does Cloud9 play into that matchup? Nautilus right now is the premier top lane tank, and it's actually going to be a fighter up in this top lane to counteract that. The Renekton going to be grabbed, and they will take this other 30 seconds to find a mid laner.
Yeah, and I would love to see Orianna. I think Renekton Orianna is a great combo to round this team out. One issue that Immortals may have with their team composition right here is that while Gragas is a great ganking and good early game jungler, his damage is very lacking, as is Nautilus's late game, and Caitlyn also takes a long time to turn up. So I think Immortals in general is going to have a problem doing damage. So when C9 is now putting together a team composition with multiple shielders, as well as a bruiser that they can turn into a tank with their shields, or a marksman who they can turn into a hyper carry with their shields, it's a really strong draft there for C9.
Absolutely agree. Of course, here's the tried and true kind of pick 2, Orianna the Syndra, most frequently played into the matchup. And it means there'll be plenty of burst damage output, actually. A lot of these champions can put out some pain. We'll see if the Lulu and Orianna can shield up against that. But Syndra, categorically, should be pretty decent against Kog'Maw. That will be locked in. Going to be hard to dodge her stuns, and maybe the damage will be enough. 2 supports, of course, might be keeping the Kog'Maw alive. All the same. Sneaky, of course, on the hyper carry. But plenty of damage output on the rest of that lineup anyway. We know that Renekton, Lee Sin, and Orianna can all carry if it comes down to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally favor the C9 composition here. It just because of all the late game options they have with the Kog'Maw, but Immortals can still win early. They technically have a mid lane that can shove in, a dual lane that can shove in, and a good early game jungler. So Immortals has a chance to run away with this game with super aggressive plays, but in my opinion, if they don't, the sneaky Kog'Maw plus the Orianna Lulu combo will win the day.
Yeah, well, we talked about it earlier. The statistics show that the Immortals dual lane has really stepped up and are playing incredibly well. And if this game is about the Kog'Maw carrying and Sneaky and Smoothie being the ones to put the game on their back, more often than not, well, if the Immortals duo is playing well, maybe they can actually prevent that from happening in the first place. You mentioned early laning phase advantages. Karma Caitlyn, definitely a strong duo, and we'll see if that can play out here as we are getting ourselves ready for the first game. The crowd is excited, and so am I, as Cloud9 and Immortals will take to the risk very shortly.
Yeah, and to be completely clear, the Orianna versus Syndra matchup isn't something that's hugely Syndra favored. Orianna doesn't, in my opinion, really have bad matchups or things you're not going to be willing to pick her into, which is why she's such a popular blind pick, especially when you have Jensen commanding the champion.
We'll see what happens. The crowd are ready to go. So are we. Game 1 is ready to begin as Cloud9 takes on Immortals. Cloud9 and C9 have begun this week just outside of first place. They're a match back on TSM, but they are still in control of their destiny for getting themselves a playoff bye. Immortals have a tough road ahead. They are in 7th, and they have the second hardest remaining schedule in the LCS. This Cloud9 match included. In Immortals need upset wins like this one to make playoffs.
Yeah, and that bottom part of the playoff standings is so tight right now. These games can be such a decider between the 5th seed and the 8th seed. There's a possibility that all that is decided by one extra win versus loss.
Yeah.
Then you look at C9, as you mentioned, while they are in position, if they were to lose a bunch of games, there's a chance they could go from 2 to 3, but that's pretty much their variance that we're talking about. So pressure definitely on Immortals, and C9 has a lot more rope to play with.
Absolutely agree. To specify it, Immortals are 1 match back from 5th and 6th, which is where Team Dignitas and FlyQuest live. And then only 1 more match behind Counterlogic Gaming in 4th. And we know those teams can lose matches. We know that it's possible for Immortals to climb up, but they have to play above what they've been doing so far this year. Game beginning. Early leash onto the bot side. Kog Lulu, of course, pretty fast leash, and they know they're going to get pushed in. Seems like they're not that... Don't view it as that important to get the early lane pressure. Dardoch with an easy leash on the Raptors, the barrel and the extra damage from Nautilus. Nice start for the Gragas.
I mean, pretty generous leashes by both teams. The top laner and the mid laner helping Dardoch with Raptors, and then both Sneaky and Smoothie helping with Red Buff. Sneaky and Smoothie generally didn't care about being in the lane right at the start because they know they're going to get shoved in early game against Karma Caitlyn, so didn't really lose CS, and they're going to try and lane from here.
There we go. Fan vote in C9's favor, and it It is the expected result all the same. Worth pointing out, Sneaky is going Warlord's Bloodlust on Kog'Maw. Again, we're on 7.5, new changes. Storm Raiders I actually think is a little bit better on Kog personally. That might be for solo queue play specifically if people don't respect you, but the free lifesteal will help him stay afloat in a lane that is going to be very difficult. So I understand that. We'll see if he can stay in there. Longsword plus 3 potions is interesting because like very few Kog'Maw builds include Longsword early on. In my mind, Rage Blade and Hurricane are coming in, so I'd almost have to see Boots 4 potions, which the MVP AD carry I think Max is his name. I think I'm wrong about that, but MVP in Korea has played Kog'Maw bot, and it was Boots 4 potions, which I think is probably a better opening champion.
It can be a help for the sustain. I feel like Sneaky will most likely be doing the Blade of the Ruin King somewhere in his build, so the Longsword will find a home fairly early on. Potentially even first item, but then that hurts your wave clear.
Yeah.
With not having Hurricane.
I don't think it's solved by any means. I mean, I'm delivering opinion, and to be fair, Sneaky's better at League of Legends than I am, but we'll see what it ends up being right here. As an early ward goes into Tribrush for C9. Contractz actually slinks by and maybe looks for a gank top lane, but I don't know if they can dive the Nautilus.
Yeah.
Waiting for a counter gank, nothing to be found. Good poke on a Smoothie.
Exactly. Contractz would only be up there and find success if he were to find Dardoch, whereas Dardoch has actually just done a power clear through his jungle to hit level 4.
Yep, and this is a nice little instinct right there. Smoothie pinged out, hey, I'm going to check Krugs for Dardoch. We know that your bottom jungle's alive. Dardoch says, ooh, more camps to kill. Dardoch's already level 4 and taking away Raptors, and Contractz is still 3. So Dardoch has gotten a lot more done. Of course, a Raptor start's going to do that, produce a lot of extra XP, but even still, Dardoch gets both Raptors. It's a lot of golden XP, and he is ahead of Contractz in the early jungle.
I mean, he must really be wondering where Contractz is right now. He basically pings out, and he's coming over the wall, potentially going for a dive.
This could work.
Contractz still around in the top jungle. Dardoch doesn't quite know this, so he'd expect Lee Sin to kind of be here. But if he wants to go for this dive, it's definitely a play that could work.
They've got to know he's bot side at this point. They cleared out the Krugs were still alive a while ago. Smoothie going to check one more time, but meanwhile, fighting the top side. Force the flash out. Q's going to land the flash follow, and the first blood's going to come through. Oh, just barely to Contractz, but Flame playing well to get the trade kill. The best of a bad situation. Dardoch now going to be spotted on the Krug. Smites for health, jumps over the wall.
Man, Flame getting that return kill is pretty clutch, and that also signals the aggression from Immortals bot lane because they know that no one can match that until now. Impact is alive, so he could teleport if Immortals get too aggressive.
That would hurt a lot of his resource right now. Flame is TP back at the top side. They know he can't match. And it's going to be Contractz running down to the bot side to keep his teammates alive. It looks like it's going to peter out.
Yeah, we're going to watch this one more time. Contractz gets a payoff from all the time he did spend in that jungle. Flame flashes, but the Q lands. Then Impact takes turret aggro pretty early on and gets rooted by the Nautilus auto attack. Pretty slim margins there, and a fraction of a second between who gets the first blood. And then, because death timers are pretty short here, Flame actually managed to teleport back to that lane and get the better wave. So even though C9 got more team gold for that, Flame actually comes out ahead after getting killed by the game.
Yeah, got to feel pretty good. Ghost coming in. Pobelter wants to land the stun on Contractz. Flashing a body slam into a lot more skill shots landing. And Contractz does not have a jump for 6 more seconds. Can they find a bit more?
Oh,
not going to land the stun. One more auto. Dardoch's on a body slam soon. There's the kill coming in. Nicely done by Pobelter, and Immortals sling themselves a gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, not even the cleanest execution by Immortals, but the cleanest call, because they saw how out of position Contractz would be and how they knew they could get that kill. So Dardoch and Pobelter use 3 summer spells, but it converts into the kill.
Really smart for them to know they had the damage.
Whoa!
Whoa! Didn't think about that one, but apparently speaking of having the damage, Smoothie and Sneaky did not realize that was there. No Summoner's Burden to keep them alive, and Immortals dual lane once again. Sure, it's an advantageous matchup, but winning their lane. Now Dardoch on a chase against Jensen. Gets a bit of the haste coming in. Should be getting away with this one, but look at this early game for Immortals, and it's not just Dardoch this time.
Yeah, Jensen really wanted to burn his flash right there, and we talked about the Immortals duo lane. They early picked the Caitlyn to block the Lulu Caitlyn lane. Sneaky has gone with that late game Kog'Maw, who is building into a Trinity Force first item, so until he hits that, he's going to be weak. Also maxing Q. A lot of times you'll see an early trap max if the Caitlyn's just wanting to do something early, and that's the damage that puts him over the top to get that kill.
Nicely done right here. There's the reveal. Nice dodge by Contractz. Lands the Q on a Pobelter. Whoa. Mine says yes. Looking for the damage. Lands the slow. And there's the flash chase for Smoothie. Now can they get rid of the satchel? Not going to matter. Dardoch gets away, but This is a fun, aggressive game, and Cloud9 get their second kill.
Yeah, and Pobelter suffers the cost of burning both of his summoner spells earlier on in the lane by when he goes into River, he has no escape from Contractz. Contractz still behind, C9 still behind, but this is the type of pace that Immortals want to have in this game. They want to be able to push early and create a lot of conflict, but with that, they need to minimize mistakes, because the more kills they get over like that, the better C9 is going to be in the late game.
Absolutely agree, and you're seeing some of these matchups already outscaling, of course. Nautilus, I feel like, is going to be a better late-game champion than Renekton, and gold-wise, 200-something lead for Flame, despite getting that first blood gank against him. Able to stack armor, which does not hurt Kog'Maw that much. Kog actually tends to be a bit more than 50% magical damage. Not all players know that, though. I've seen people, like, Byleth was run the champion, and it's like, that's a little silly.
What are you doing, man?
But it does mean the armor stack won't hurt him that much, and again, Sneaky can deal with a big tank like this.
Yeah, and another important thing to note about C9 is this split, they have not been a team who wins through the early game. They have been probably the best mid-game team in the league. So a small early game deficit should not, and I think will not phase them as long as they prevent being run over by Immortals, which is a danger.
Ooh, they go in, grab the blue buff. Jensen steals that one away. Contractz to kick back to stay safe. He knew he did not have the damage, and Jensen chose to last hit the blue instead of put the extra Q towards the Syndra. Maybe a debatable choice, but either way, blue steal comes in, and they all live.
Yeah, and Pobelter is now low from the Lee Sin, doesn't have blue, and doesn't have his ultimate. So it was a noble effort to stop him, but now he's at disadvantage.
He's finding even more. He's on top of Olleh right here. Plenty of moves. He jumps forward. Of course, the kick is down, but still forcing the flash out of Olleh is a well-played little gank right there.
Wow, yeah. I was thinking ward jump for the kick back, but they may not have called the Lee Sin meltdown. Olleh probably didn't need to flash that. He was flashing for the preemptive kick. Now that's down means a return gank when Contract's ult comes up would be way more valuable.
True, you're right, yeah, and I don't think he was that afraid of like Kog'Maw R or something chasing him through, so you're right, maybe a waste of a flash right here, since he did not have the kick available. But bot lane is staying alive, and honestly, -10 is reasonable for a Kog'Maw against Caitlyn, so again, we talked about it in Champ Select. Immortals need an early lead. They do have one, but can they push it a little bit farther as Cloud9? I do think the Kog'Maw might have the better late game.
Yeah, what type of playmaking can Immortals have here? It's going to be tricky if Pobelter can't get an upper hand here in the mid lane. Look at the ward coverage in Immortals blue buff jungle, so it's hard for Dardoch to kind of sneak around when that much of his jungle is lit up, and that definitely limits the playmaking that Immortals can have.
Well, speaking of making plays, though, the bot lane is going to be demolished right now, and before it was Jensen as Bob the Builder's alter ego, but this time it's actually Wreck-It Ralph, as Twitter reminded me, and Cody Sun and Olleh doing a good job of demolishing part of the base. It stretches the gold lead to almost 2,000. Now Dardoch forced to kite back. And a nice steal by Smoothie getting a small truck, but now more fire into the top side as Impact and Flame doing battle, and Contractz looking for this dive, not going to find that one there, and Flame gets away, losing his flash and his ulti. But it's still going to mean turret pressure, and he will lose the cannon wave.
Yeah, and
think the turret's going to die?
Still going to be a lot of damage. They're trying to return something around. Flame definitely the one getting picked on. He wants to stick around because he's got Syndra coming back up, and the minion wave is petering.
And no, it's going to force the flash out of Impact. He would have pulled turret aggro, and that might have been enough to kill him, so he had to burn the summoner spell. But greeting for the wave, but the kills might still come through. Not going to land the Q with his Contractz. Pobelter. It's a slow and not quite the stuns yet. His E's still on cooldown. C9 walk away. A trade of flashes and ultimates ultimately in that top lane fight.
Yeah, but we also have to wonder how much Immortals can push in after this. They're delaying the recalls already, and they position Caitlyn in that top lane. Really long delay on the recalls as well, which just improves Immortals' ability to try and get down these turrets.
Oh no, why'd you turn back in? He killed himself! Contractz could have just walked and he would have been fine. He killed himself by walking into Ignite range. Olleh, yet again, gets the kill, and the karma, the snowball begins and continues as the Immortals look to turn it into an avalanche.
And that's the smiles coming out from Immortals when the team is grooving. Olleh flanking through the river, but now he's burned his Ignite, and the teleports are coming in to try and turn it around.
Here comes Impact. He's got the abilities. The slow's going to land. Here's the stun into Olleh. Knock up for Wild Draw. Shockwave as well. That's one down. The second one going to be in their sights. Flame. Whimsied up the damage for Kog'Maw, and they're going to give the kill over to Jensen. Tying up the scoreboard. Still down 1,400, but a nice play by Cloud9.
And while we've said Immortals has been consistent for a lot of the year, inconsistent for a lot of the year, the consistent thing is them pushing the envelope. And oftentimes it is too far. That was a move where they should have respected the teleport, but they come right back at him.
Ooh, plenty of damage on a Sneaky. He's gonna go down. Kill. Gonna go over to Cody Sun. Nice donation. And they dropped that one down. Worth pointing out, Sneaky's build is going towards Trinity Force. I have not seen that opening in quite a long time, but explains the opening start, of course.
Yeah, and right here, even though the teleport is matched, Jensen has also roamed up here, so it is a 4v3 into a nice Lulu knockup into Shockwave knockup combo. Flame is able to delay it a little bit, but the fights are just going to keep going.
There's more battles here. Cody Sun ignited damage is on him. Not going to die just yet unless the Q comes back up from cooldown. Not going to happen there. He gets away with this. Dardoch, after body slam, also kites out. The game is still action-packed.
Yeah, this game is crazy. They're rotating so much as far as lane assignments as well. So it's all about matching the waves. And it's interesting to see Immortals trying to compete with C9 in this game, since C9 has been such a strong mid-game and team play game. And we're kind of cresting that early game to mid-game point. And it will be so interesting to see if Immortals can keep that together. Because if they can, that bodes so well for them as far as that playoff race is concerned, is this is a very difficult time in the game in which to beat Cloud9.
Absolutely agree, but Immortals will see if they can do it. Again, they came so close to dethroning TSM last Sunday, and they're here with a small but meaningful lead against Cloud9. If Immortals can really get this kind of form.
Snuck in here.
Sneaky suddenly realized he's not as what he wanted to be, and here comes the damage up with a knockup, not gonna matter. Kill gonna go over to Olleh's second half of the queue. Dardoch tried to give it over to Cody Sun, not gonna happen, but either way, it's an assist on the Caitlyn, and they keep on scaling. Gold lead 2.3K.
Yeah, Olleh needed that kill secure. It is worth noting as well that Olleh did have a 5-kill Karma game earlier on in the split, so he's no stranger to the kill secure. Karma also, I feel like, probably scales better with gold than Gragas. So even though they couldn't give that kill over to Caitlyn, the right person to have the kill there was Karma over Gragas, but that's also a matter of opinion. Yeah,
they tried to give it to the Caitlyn queue and they couldn't quite find it, of course. Either way, Sneaky walking back in the lane. And individual gold-wise, I have to point out, Sneaky is down actually more than 2,000 gold individually under Cody Sun. Winning lane and Immortals winning the early game and getting Cody into 2 of these turret kills. Yeah, Caitlyn might spike later on in the game, but you're up almost a full item. You're going to spike just fine.
Yeah, it's tricky. And while this isn't quite what I would define as a Juggernaut composition, that was more when you would see an AP Lulu in the mid lane and then also a shielding support in the bottom lane. It's a lot of support for Sneaky, and there's definitely people that would call this a Juggernaut composition. But when you're doing that, the most important person to have gold on is the Kog'Maw. So the fact that they had to play this into a Caitlyn is already tough in itself, but then you add that with the absolute focus that almost all of Immortals has had on trying to kill Sneaky whenever he goes towards a minion wave is definitely doing wonders to delay that Kog'Maw power spike.
Good by them. We'll see if they can keep it going. We did see in the Origins series earlier today where the Kog'Maw never got off the ground and the rest of the team snowballed too much. And certainly there are threats here on Immortals. The Syndra, the Nautilus, the Gragas, they can all set up for damage here. C9 gonna make a play to top lane, nicely done by them. Finally getting their own turret kill here. We'll see if they can keep this one going forward, because of course bot lane tier 2 under fire at the same time by the Immortal squad, and it's gonna be a trade of many resources on both sides of the map.
Yeah, but this is actually the type of play you want to orchestrate if you're C9, as long as they don't lose that mid lane turret, because you want to trade objectives when you're down in gold. You don't want to lose the trade, however, because this is, overall, still 2 turrets for 2.
Yep.
We have to see how this continues on, because C9 is not backing off.
Even still, I would say it's interesting to talk about what happened here, because I think it's debatable to say who comes out ahead. Trading equal gold on both sides, probably better for the losing team, but opening the map to remove turret safety, probably worse for the losing team.
Yeah, and the mid lane turret is the most pivotal as far as how much it opens up the map. Whereas when you get 2 turrets in one lane, that doesn't actually open up the map more than if you had just gotten 1 turret in that lane. But if they can take this, because Immortals went for the Dragon, I think Immortals might try and fight this. Flame has teleport, and it can't flank C9.
So it's not quite going to fall, and C9 not going to knock that gold into their pockets just yet. The gold lead/deficit remains 3,000 right there. And hey, if Immortals keep that mid lane pressure, then they come out pretty well. But Impact was able to get some alone time bot lane, which is surprising considering that the team was just down there by the Drake, but it does put the gold a bit closer. Only 3 to 4 in turrets, and C9 are 300 HP on a turret away from equalizing that score overall. But here comes the roam down. Impact in a 1v3, gonna have almost nowhere to go. A nice flash in the body slam, plenty of damage coming through, and that root's gonna land for Olleh, not even a problem. Here comes a snipe, and they couldn't quite give it to Cody Sun, but still a kill on a Syndra, never bad.
Yeah, Pobelter gonna do work with that kill, and this is also how Immortals like to play. They are pulling off so many moves, trying to accelerate the tempo. The big question is whether or not it's going to be enough. They're still only up 3,000 gold after orchestrating all of these plays, and you really have to worry about Orianna, Kog'Maw, Lulu later in the game.
We'll see the tempo can keep going, of course. Sometimes these teams slow down after getting the outer turrets, and it can be hard to break into tier 2s. Right now, Immortals still playing aggressive, though. You can see there are several wards inside the Cloud9 jungle right now. I count 4, actually. There's 2 regular wards here, and 2, oh, there's a double ward. All right. I still count it as 4. Because there's 2 control wards down here as well. One by the red buff and one down there by Krugs. Thank you, Observer, for showing me all of that. You are beautiful. Impact sadly going to make... Oh, yeah. All right, down to 3. Still, lots of vision for Immortals on that bot side. Sadly for them, though, no turrets killed down there, meaning they're less useful than other wards might be.
And Cody Sun is sitting on nearly enough gold to go back for an Infinity Edge, which will be a huge power spike when you're sitting on Infinity Edge Hurricane versus the opponent just Trinity Force.
Yeah. And Trinity Force is an item that in itself is a power spike, but doesn't scale that well into the game. It's something like 3,700 gold for 30 AD and 30 attack speed. It's just, it's not a lot of combat stats. CDR's okay on Kog'Maw, I guess, but...
Yeah. It'll be really nice later on because it just increases your uptime on your W substantially. I feel like Blade of the Rune King is most likely the next item because those are 2 of the less multiplicative items and more just raw good stats that will then synergize with the % health damage from the Kog'Maw W. Give him a good 2-item power spike. The question will be, is that going to come a little bit too late?
Yeah, definitely, because there is some MR on Flame now, and you can see tank stats coming in for Dardoch as well. We'll see how it continues forward. The mid lane pressure continues, and C9, of course, nursing a 3,000 gold deficit, cannot easily push into this turret. Sometimes you can say, okay, Sneaky, put your W on, we'll give you shields, you can take a shot or 2, but you guys got to respect the fact that Flame could go for the engage, and as long as that line for the anchor is up there, he can't go for much.
Yeah, and C9 picked the Kog'Maw pretty early as well when we're looking at the overall scope of this game. So while Immortals doesn't have a huge amount of sustain damage, they have a large ability to focus on one person. So if Sneaky does want to walk up to a turret, you're risking Nautilus Assault, Gragas Body Slam, Syndra Stun, so much that they can throw it at you, and here we go.
There's the hits, turret's gonna go down to one more
Syndra's
shot.
not here.
And here comes the knockup, the damage output is in, Contractz staying alive for a bit, gets the kickback on Dardoch, Shockwave finds one more. Not going to be more than a single kill, but a great turret pickup all the same. Pobelter ghosting in, wants to re-engage. There's the flash, looks for the stun, not going to find anybody worth hitting. And Pobelter chunked down low, goes for damage on Sneaky, can't quite kill him off. And the chase down is here, the flash follow for impact. Still wants to kill up Pobelter, not quite going to find the kill, but they're all dangerously close to dead. Just the 1 for 0 at the end of the day as the teams are going to disengage.
And I think that was a pretty large misplay by Dardoch to engage 4v5 while Pobelter was in the top lane, clearing minions right there, so it gives C9 an opportunity to get some gold back. They actually win that fight. Pobelter still burns all his summoner spells because he was late to arrive to the fight. And just watch this one more time. Yes, Dardoch can get a pick, but who is going to burst without Syndra there? You have tanks and a Caitlyn. So yes, he gets the ultimate Contractz, but not enough damage to actually kill anyone. The Shockwave then hits 2, burns multiple summoner spells for Immortals to go back. And then yes, Pobelter is there, but he's so far away, and you already have the hastes from what was a Kog'Maw heal, a Lulu, and everything else on top of that, that he just can't have an effect once he makes it into the fight.
The impact so close. If he was in range for the auto attack, he was 50 range away from that being a kill on the Pobelter Syndra. Of course, the dodges and the stuns were close as well, but Impact once again alone in the side lane. Doesn't have the ward coverage he needs to keep safe doing this, and this should be a kill picked up. Nice stun, doesn't matter. Pobelter gets the kill once again. 3-1 on the Syndra. Still scaling up, and again, that is one of the key assassins for getting rid of this Kog'Maw. If Pobelter keeps the gold going, the Kog'Maw won't take off.
Yeah, and that was the second time Impact has been kind of caught pushing the sideline. He does need to be more careful in those situations. They don't have the ward coverage, so they kind of just have to see. There's Cody, though.
The flash kick is there, and Cody's going to die. They're going to get the trade kill and Contractz, maybe. Explosive cast sets up Olleh for his 3rd kill. The game kill leader on Immortals. Once again, the support. Flame TP's in, forcing a flash out from Sneaky. Not going to get stunned, but he's got nowhere to go at all. That's the kill picked up. Shocker doesn't mean much. And yes, Olleh with his 4th of the game. This Karma is carrying.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at who else is going to be getting the kills. Yes, you want Pobelter to do it, but Cody Sun is already dead, so it's not terrible that he's being able to get these kills. And with the Ardent Sensor completed, that's almost kind of adding half an item into Cody Sun's build.
Yeah.
Still trying to build up towards some better late game effectiveness. Another set of picks there for Immortals. Watch this one more time. It is Cody who is caught initially. He doesn't have flash, so Contractz knows he can get the kick back, but it puts him in a difficult situation as well. And then, because Pobelter is pushing up from the bottom side, it allows Flame to teleport in and means the rest of C9 have to fall back, otherwise it would have been a 3v3. And then they just kind of press all their buttons on Kog'Maw to complete the double kill.
Second Drake now, and this Cloud Drake, with how much Immortals are trying to split push with the Syndra, then bring her back into the team, it actually means quite a bit. Obviously, Infernal means a lot for one-shotting Kog'Maw, but just getting Pobelter into the fights with Cloud, I do think it has relevance here in this game. And we'll see as Immortals can once again split the map up. Their gold lead now about 4,000, and really have not let go of this game. But at a certain point, I feel like the Caitlyn can continue to eclipse Kog'Maw's power because she's getting more gold. And at a certain point, it makes up for the inherent kit disadvantages. We'll see, though. Jatt, you were right about Blade of the Ruin King, by the way. Woo. Item was buffed. It's pretty much stronger in all cases for marksmen.
Yeah, I mean, small tangent, I really like Blade of the Ruin King on a lot of different marksmen because it gives you so many stats that you like. Just attack damage, attack speed, and lifesteal. Not to mention, it has tank shredding as well built in as a passive. Yeah. Efficiency-wise, I think it's higher than it has been in the past since it's kind of always had those stats, but the conversion of those stats is more generous for what you want and what you need.
Yep.
In this stage of the game, still not there yet, so can't take advantage of that efficiency. And Immortals is just going to try and play this control ward, the Baron Riverside area, hope C9 step, and then make another aggressive play as they've been doing all game.
Sneaky is, I think, exactly 400 gold short of Blade of the Ruin King right now. It's 800 combined, 400 for the recurve bow, and he's at 800 gold right now. So they need 2 to 3 minutes, until Sneaky can get that power spike, and I think Cloud9 will have to wait until that happens. The thing is, Cloud Drake's off the map, but Baron Asher is available, and Immortals can maybe bait the fight before that power spike comes in.
Yeah, and Sneaky has closed the gap a little bit as far as overall gold. He was down 2,000 gold to Cody Sun about 15 minutes into the game, and now he's only 1,600 gold down. Not to mention, I don't really like what Immortals just did there. They had river control and a stronger 5v5, and Flame went to prep a wave in the side lane while his teleport was down, which allowed C9 to walk in and regain control of that river, which really limits Immortals' ability to pull off a clean play based on face checks. So it can move back in and kind of regain control, but it is so delayed. And all C9 want to do at this stage is delay.
Yes, exactly the case. Right now, individual gold on Sneaky is 80 short of the Ruin King, and unfortunately, I think Jensen took some of the farm from one of those waves, so Sneaky could otherwise pick that item up, but it's not going to happen just yet. Ward control there is just enough that C9 knows Baron's not been started. Otherwise, though, it has been Immortals generally controlling this area of the map. Sneaky not able to get the last hits. Here's the haste on a Flame. Not going to engage just yet. Whimsy, of course, can get Sneaky out in safety. No issues.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that C9 is good enough that they're not going to get caught in the mid lane. The only real risk that they should incur is if they need to acquire vision of the Baron area. For that, they have 2 scrying orbs as well as Kog'Maw ultimate to try and scout. So it is very tricky for Immortals to get the type of fight they want, which is why it's so imperative they spend a long time clearing vision and working through those scrying orb cooldowns. But scrying orb's coming up on Jensen, so this can potentially delay it even farther.
And there's the top lane push that was needed. Pobelter shoved the wave in. They've got a couple control wards down to this river, and Immortals looks like they're going to reset, but then it seems like they're going to make a concerted effort to actually grab the vision and the Baron bait. Problem for them is this Ruin King is online, that power spike's in for Sneaky, and that's, I mean, honestly, a substantial difference now in how these team fights are going to go. If Sneaky stays alive, he can kill off Flame, who is stacked pretty heavily on armor, and we'll see how that plays out. Impact is having to collect some junk waves, but he probably scales the least out of everyone on his team who normally get that gold, so it's not exactly optimal to go to the Renekton.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting point for the game because I kind of feel like the compositional advantage for C9 is balancing out the Golden Drake advantage that Immortals have. So much of this is going to be about execution because I almost feel like if Immortals can't siege out C9 here and force them into Baron to win a fight, I think C9 will actually turn this game around now. They have the 2 items on Kog'Maw, the 2 items on Jensen. Shockwave is now a big threat. So the pressure is still on Immortals to make the play, and I think it has to happen soon.
And they're trying right here. I'm going to check once again. The vision control is actually immaculate right now for Immortals. This is all dark right now. C9 cannot see the river. And it means they're going to have to face check to some degree. Sweeper used to grab the ward control. And again, it's darkness for Cloud9. It's going to be difficult to play for. Their Scryers are on cooldown.
Yeah.
Kog'Maw can only do so much.
This would be the moment. Immortals just finished clearing out the wards. They have pushed out all the waves, and now everyone on their team can disappear. So the question now for C9 is, do we check or do we just give up Baron? And the guess for Immortals is, are they going to check? Because since they didn't, Baron could actually be dead right now, but Immortals decided to wait for a pick.
Right now they sent Flame to deal with impact in the 1v1. Good for Immortals. The 4-on-4 is still fine for them. It wasn't really that important if the Nautilus were around, so they should still be the team with a bit of a lead. Actually, no tank for C9 makes it even maybe scarier, as they did not seem to guess correctly at what C9 was going to do, and it delays a little bit longer.
I think because of the Mountain Drake, that's actually an opportunity where Baron could be dead, but they get a
there's
pick.
The face check. Finally, this one works out for Immortals, forcing the flash out of Contractz. No ultis except for impacts just yet. Looks for the re-engage. Smoothie a bit low as well. Pobelter did burn Ghost, and Olleh did use Ignite. And here's the play for the Mountain Drake. This time around, low health bars on Cloud9.
Yeah, flashes out on 2 people, but they have 4 of the 5 ultimates up on C9. That means they can collapse in here. Does Immortal finish the Baron, or do they fight?
8,000 health. Baron's going to be theirs. It's going to be Immortals grabbing it with Dardoch Smite, and here's the re-engage. Smoothie caught up with the Dredge Line, and he is gone. Lulu is not long for the world. The flash follow. They're going to look for sneaky Dredge Line. Not going to find just yet, but here comes Dardoch. Can't find the slope. But the 1-for-0 plus the clean Baron. Immortals does play the vision game properly.
Yeah, it was maybe a little bit delayed, but that's actually how you pull off that play. Huge credit to Immortals for getting that cleanly. Now they still have high enough health bars they can continue this push with the inception of the Baron buff.
It's going to be how much they can get. Top lane Tier 2 is gone, then the reset, then the play for Cloud Drake. Looks like it's going to be maximizing advantages and leaving nothing on the table for Cloud9. Immortals are pushing this game farther ahead. 7,000 up means they should remain in control, comp or not.
Yeah, and death cap completed onto Pobelter. So that one-shot potential of just getting 3 orbs on the ground and then pressing your ultimate is there. There's not magic resist built up on the dude they're trying to kill yet. Sneaky, with a recurve bow, looks to be going towards Wit's End. I really would have preferred a dagger and a null magic, because you can bet your bottom dollar that if Pobelter sees him, he's just going to press R and Sneaky will die.
Well, he's probably going towards Hurricane with this, but you're right. I think getting the defensive items that move towards the Wit's End means a bit more for him.
Hurricane could be another choice.
Yeah.
That's a common one as well.
I know, but you actually do Rage Play. There's actually 3 options for him, really. But you're right, though. I still agree that Components of Wit's End is the right choice to not die to a Syndra, but maybe he says, you know what, we're losing. I need to win the DPS race against a 3-item Caitlyn, and that's an understandable choice. The Immortals continues to push through. Mid lane Tier 2 is theirs for sure. The Cloud Drake, of course, was easily grabbed earlier on Impact. Was looking for the game-winning flank play, but can it even happen? 5-on-5, Contractz on the side.
Shockwave has to be huge, I feel like, for C9 to win this fight.
Flash stun, Shockwave out of 3. Cody Sun's gone at the start. That was what they needed, but can they get more? Dardoch forced to run. Contractz low, but there's not a lot of damage. Redemption's going to buy some time, but here comes the damage up, and Jensen gets the lead. A nice play by Pobelter. It's a 4v4. Health bars and gold lead still in the favor of Immortals. Quick stun to Sneaky. Look for the chase, but the slow groove. You get a nice kickback by Contractz, buys some time. Rooted up by Olleh. There's the anchor in. There's the kill picked up by Pobelter. The chase on Sneaky. The kill comes through. It'll be a trade, but does it matter? Guardian Angel's not around, but it's still the team fight wins. Smoothie almost dead. 3v2 on the map, and Immortals break into the base.
And if they would have actually finished off Smoothie and Impact, that game could have been over right there. And it was actually a near perfect start to the fight for C9. Jensen. Shockwave was huge. They eliminated Cody Sun before anything could happen, but then it was that death cap Syndra of Pobelter doing a huge amount of work with the CC throughout the fight. Watching this one more time, Immortals group up, and the Renekton forces people down, which clumps them up just enough to watch that Orianna ball in the left middle of your screen. Moved in, 3-man Shockwave, while everyone else piled in. So really beautiful initiation, but at this point, you can see the gold lead kind of doing its work, and the fact that Sneaky can never really get in. He got hit by the Nautilus depth charge, he got hit by Pobelter's stun, and then he couldn't step forward because the Syndra still had the ultimate up. With Jensen gone, the shielding is also greatly diminished, and Immortals with their tanks can move completely in, because remember, Sneaky can't step up because his main shielders are dead. So Immortals just continue to pile on and nearly end the game right here. If Pobelter can land that Q, he kills Smoothie, and they potentially push forward.
Like 6 HP or something like that. Nearly takes him down, but It will be the survival, but it's a 10,000 gold lead, and Immortals can almost walk this into the base right now. Mid inhibitor is dead. Baron buff is timed out, but they've got all the power they need to win this one. Cody Sun, QSS on the last Whisper, and in this game, the Kog'Maw never gets off the ground. He is going towards the Wit's End, but he's got the Reaper bow first of all. Here comes the pressure on towards the top lane. Inhibitor turret down to half HP right now. And they have to know to respect the Shockwave. Cody Sun does have his summoners. Gets jumped in once again this time. Flash heal stays alive, finds impact. Plenty of damage on Renekton, down below half HP. We'll wait for the next wave.
Yeah, pretty difficult to push without Baron, which is what Immortals is trying to do now, and even riskier when they're making this push with both summoner spells being burned on that Shockwave. But they do think with Shockwave down, it's probably safe with Cody Sun not having the summoner spells, and it looks like they would want to tank this turret with Flame to try and finish it down.
Here comes the play. Top inhibitor going to be taking a lot of damage. Going to push for more. The knockback out of Sneaky. He gets deleted. Nice setup by Dardoch to knock him down like a bowling pin. And here comes the rest of the game crashing down around them. 5v4. Immortals have the minions inside the base, and they are going to take another Game 1 win over a top-ranked North American LCS team. Nexus turret's falling. The defense nearly impossible for Cloud9. Contractz waiting for the play. Jumps around. Gets away from the root. Turret still falling, and Impact doesn't have the damage to kill anyone off. They're still going to kite back and go for the kills. Top laner dead. Contractz, the jungler, going to be next up on the platter. The damage coming through. The snipe going to come in. That's one more for Cody Sun. And the Nexus is going to fall. Immortals going to close out Game 1 over Cloud9. Hoping to make that push into the playoffs.
And that is a spectacular start to the series for Immortals. Looking at the way they played this game as well, they identified exactly what they had to do to win. They knew what C9 had to do to win, and they were successfully able to play towards that. Sneaky was never a factor in this game. Immortals played off the strong Caitlyn lane and were able to get a swift and fairly decisive victory 33 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, really impressive stuff overall, damage output-wise. Been tracking sort of the re-rise of Pobelter, did the most damage in this game, 25,000, is quite a lot in a 30-minute game.
Yeah.
And was a pretty major factor. Of course, we saw the bot lane win. We got all those kills on Olleh. Sadly, not the kill leader by the end. Pobelter stole a bunch and got up to 7, but always good to see Olleh do well. And honestly, it was, right, bot lane was winning. I thought Dardoch heavily outperformed Contractz the first few levels. He had like a solid level lead and out-ganked him, generally speaking.
Yep.
Flame turning around the 2v1 and being an eighth of a second away from getting first blood himself in a 1v2. Like, a lot of these individual plays, just all of Immortals played better the first 20 minutes, and as a team, they close it out properly.
Yeah, to me, the most impressive part for Immortals there is the team play, because there have been moments this year where it looks like no one is even communicating with each other with the way it looks on the Rift. But in a relatively close mid-game, they pulled out a win against what I think is the best mid-game team in the league. So that's where I hand it to Immortals in this one.
Totally agree. Props to Immortals.